Hi y'all! Ever since I was a kid, I've been a fan of Pokémon. But you know what I've also been a fan of? Marvel Comics. So now I'm going to mix two of my favorite things into my own Pokémon region. The Nervy region. I'm still figuring out the name. This region is entirely based on New York, where most classic Marvel heroes are active. And of course, every Pokémon region has to start with, well, starters. These are ours. Pipsword, Sandworm, and Droplet. Cute little guys, aren't they? Quick, before I explain them and show their evolutions, go to the comments and let me know which one you'd choose. You can edit it after that if you change your mind. You ready? Sweet! Then let's start with our grass-type starter, Pipsword, the creeping Pokémon. Its name comes from the words Pip, or Seed, and Lizard. And despite its small size, this Pokémon is always willing to help others, and it's not rare for it to get in over its head trying to protect them from larger Pokémon, having little choice but to protect itself with a flimsy shield in its tail. Now, at first glance, this might not look like any particular superhero, but the themes behind each of them will become clearer as we advance. So, get it to level 16 and it will evolve into Clemanitor, the persistent Pokémon. Its name being a combination of Clematis, a genus of vine, and Monitor. After a lot of training, this Pokémon has learned to use the power of the vines that grow across its body, the sap they produce nurturing and empowering it. With this power at its disposal, nothing can stop the ever-vigilant Clemanitor from doing what it must to protect others. Getting this dedicated and loyal Pokémon to level 32 should be no issue, and at that point it will evolve into Varangar, the Sentinel Pokémon. A name that combines Varan, Vine and Guard, also sounding like Vanguard, the forefront of an action or movement, like troops. Yes, this is our Captain America Pokémon. This stage has gained the Steel type, represented not only by the hard vines that wrap around its body, but also by the flower growing on its back. This flower is reinforced with metal, and Varanguard will throw it at any opponents it faces, using its vines to reel it back after every throw. And trust me, when Varanguard throws its mighty flower, all those who choose to oppose its flower must yield. This line was based not only on lizards and varanids, as is clear at a glance, but also on vines, especially genus Clematis, which is referenced in Pipsword's tail based on a seed, Clemanitor's vines, and the flower that grows on Varanguard's back. The designs themselves transitioning from a scrappy, depowered Steve Rogers, gaining some elements from Bucky Barnes, Cap's child sidekick from back when adults sending kids to fight supervillains was normal, and Cap's classic costume. And finally, the shinies here are a reference to US Agent, with the classic black, white and red costume. By the way, all of these shinies are references to other characters, so let me know if you can guess them before I say them. Now let's meet our fire starter, Sandworm, from Cinder and Worm. The tiny ember Pokémon holds far more raw power than it can withstand or knows how to use, and so it is forced to fight smart rather than hard against larger Pokémon. It may be a little soft at this stage, but get this little guy to level 14 and it will evolve into Infernalis, the Kiln Pokémon. Its name comes from Inferno, Furnace and Chrysalis, and they make for an appropriate name, since this is the pupa stage of this line. Infernalis will keep its fire all within itself, allowing it to concentrate and reach inside its hard cocoon. While not the most aggressive stage, it will allow this Pokémon to understand, contain and harness its own power. Said power will be unleashed once you get it to level 30, allowing it to evolve into Starapace, the Bombardier Pokémon. A name derived from steam and carapace. Its fire is now contained entirely within itself, and the exhaust pipes that run through its body will allow it to shoot pressurized fire at opponents, or even use it to lift off at great speeds, thus gaining it the flying type. Design-wise, this one took quite easily from the life cycle of a beetle, a properly armored and flying animal, just like its inspiration, Iron Man. The first stage was originally based on the Arc Reactor, but I ended up making it simpler to avoid the design from becoming too busy. Followed by the Mark I armor combined with a furnace. And finally Iron Man's more modern armor style, also using some steam pipes that gave the previous furnace an exit for its fiery abilities. The black and red shinies are, of course, a reference to the awesome War Machine. And finally, let's move on to our water starter, and my personal favorite, Droplet, the Drizzle Pokemon. A name coming from Dropple and Kid, a baby goat. This tiny goat Pokemon has a lovely attitude and lots of potential, and while it may seem weaker compared to the other two, the bubbles emerging from its body pack a harder punch than would be expected, and they can even be used to heal as well. Maybe not the most impressive starter, but raise this little guy to level 18 and it will evolve into Cracklip, the feisty Pokemon. Its name being a combination of crackle and sheep. And crackle it does, as it has unlocked power it didn't know it had, and it's raring to try it on anything that crosses its path. Stubborn and ready for battle, the bubbles that come out of its body will form a cloud around it, impeding and distracting other Pokemon. When inside this cloud, opposing Pokemon will constantly hear a distinct crackling, actually the sound of Cracklip's hooves hitting the terrain, before they feel the strike of its newly formed horns. Now, if you manage to deal with this Pokemon's temper for long enough to get it to level 34, it will reach its final evolution, Storhammer, the Storm Cloud Pokemon. A name derived from Storm, Ram and Hammer. Of course also containing the name of its inspiration, Thor, in there. At this stage, Storhammer gains the electric type. Now much more mature, Storhammer will not seek battles, instead looking to help those in need. It has even been known to go to areas where rain is scarce and bring the rain itself. This, of course, does not mean it will shy away from battle. Now it holds veritable clouds on its back, and will produce lightning within them to strike at opponents from a distance, all the while closing in and hitting them with its mighty horns. As for the designs, I went from being inspired by Thor's human form, Dr. Donald Blake, hence the inclusion of killing properties for it, before moving on to a young, unworthy Thor, the one from the Viking Age, who cared more about fighting for fighting's sake over anything else. And finally, a mix of Thor's classic costume and some of his older, kinglier designs. And its red and golden shiny is a reference to the other famous hammer wielder, Beta Ray Bill. So if you are still here, thank you so much for watching. I had a lot of fun working on and designing these little guys, so I hope you like them as well. Let me know if you'd like to see more of this series, because I have quite a few of them planned and ready to work on. Again, thanks for joining us. See you next time.